Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 36 of License to Carranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Gekisou Sentai Carranger. Every week we watch an episode of the show and we share our thoughts with you, the listener. My name is Matt James, and with me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing pretty well, man. I'm rehearsing a new show. I'm rehearsing this year's one act, so that's always fun. Yeah, it's great. Something I realized this a few years ago about doing high school theater is that you really only need to have like 4 years of repertory, and then you can repeat if you want to.
Right, because no one in the school would have done it before.
Yeah, so there's a couple of shows that we've done like 2 or 3 different times, just, spaced out over the years. And I say to myself, I'm like, oh, can I do Sure Thing again? Like, no, I can't do it yet, but I can do it next year. And then I can, then I'll have to wait another few years before I can do Sure Thing again.
Nice. You know what else is nice, Dave? Episode 36 of Gekisou Sentai Carranger. It is called, and this is a mouthful of a title, The Suspicious Exhaust Purging Operation. But of course, before we get into that, Dave, as always, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. What is our first star of the week?
Our first star of the week, Matt, is Baby Watch.
We interrupt your regular broadcast of the Super Sentai Brothers to bring you a breaking news update.
Baby Watch. So anyways, we haven't done one of these in a while, and this is pretty wild because the twins just turned 3.
You know what's really dangerous about them just turning 3? Is that I feel like we're going to have to retire Baby Watch and replace it with, like, Toddler Watch.
Toddler Watch, really, like, they're not even toddlers anymore. We held on to Baby Watch too long. Now it's just, like, Kid Update? I don't know.
Kid
but it is...
Update.
They can't all just, yeah.
Kid Update.
They can't all just be updates. We'll have to come up with a snappier title than that. But what we are...
I feel like they're all either update or watch. Because there's Baby Watch and Trailer Watch.
Trailer Watch. And then Commute Update.
Commute Update.
Commute Update.
Used to be Bus Update. Those were the days.
Right.
Bus Updates.
So anyways, there's kind of too much stuff to talk about, to be honest. Like, they're doing so much stuff so fast that, like, my head is spinning all the time about the new stuff that they're doing. So like the other day, like, they're telling jokes now, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like, they're not incredible jokes, but they're not bad jokes either. And they are completely okay. So like the other day, we're in the car, Buddy Bear says, like, I want to listen to the Gunk song. And I was like,
what?
The Gunk song? Right. Yeah. I was like, what do you mean the Gunk song? And I said, can you sing it? Like, can you tell me how it goes? He says, no, I can't. And I say, well, let me call Beth. So I called Beth and I was like, he says he wants to listen to the Gunk song. Does that mean, because, like, they develop their own titles for songs.
Sure.
And
They're not checking the liner notes.
Yeah. And she just says, I have no idea. Like, I do not know what this song is. So I turn around and I'm just like, well, Bud, like, could we sing it? And he says, no, I want to listen to it. I say, but I don't think that's a song, man. Like, there's no, like, probably there is, but, like, I don't know a Gunk song. And I take a second, I'm like, did you make this song up? And he looks at me and he says, no, I make it down. And like that, and then he was upset that he couldn't listen to it. But like, that's a pretty decent joke, right? Like, I didn't make it up. I made it down. Boom. Gotcha, old man.
Gotta be a little quicker on your feet to keep up with this kid.
Yeah, and then he was deeply aggrieved that like a recording of this song that he had made up and did not know how to sing didn't exist for him to listen to. So I just sang a little bit of a gunk song that I made up, and I said, "Was that a good gunk song?" And he said, "Yeah, like that was good.
Okay.
That was a good gunk song."
Well, so long, a crisis averted.
Yeah. So like I said, they just turned 3, and we had a birthday party for them, which is very cool.
It's a very nice time.
And they are both. This is the wild thing. They are both now like well and fully potty trained. Like they just don't wear diapers anymore. And it was such a strange. There's been like a lot of stuff like this. Like when they stopped drinking out of bottles. Mm-hmm. Like they were sort of slowly having fewer and fewer bottles and more regular food. And then like one day it was just like, oh, you don't have bottles anymore. Like that's just like a giant chore that I no longer have to deal with. And now they're potty trained, and they sort of were like weaning and like, you know, using fewer and fewer diapers and fewer accidents. And they still wear a diaper like overnight.
Sure.
But yeah, they just don't wear diapers. Like I just don't have to change diapers anymore. It's amazing.
That's magical.
Yeah, it is. It's like pretty incredible. Just in terms of like time savings. Like they just go and they just say like, I got to use the potty. And I'm like, knock yourself out, bud. Like,
have
you
a
know
blast.
where it is. Yeah, they just sort of like go and use the potty and then come back. They're still working out wiping. They're still getting that one down.
Well, you know, as you said, it's a process.
It's a process. The problem is like all 3-year-olds, they're very eager to do things themselves.
I see.
Yeah, like it's a little bit of a delicate operation for a 3-year-old.
Sure.
So, but like if you don't let them participate in some way, they get like really upset. So I'm like, all right, here's the deal. I'll do the first one, and then you do a double check wipe just to make sure like everything's cool. And they're like, all right, good. Like I have a very important job.
Right, you've given me agency over this.
Right, I will do the double check wipe. So anyways, that's Baby Boy. Like, man, they're crazy. Like, they're just running around and, like, doing stuff. And, oh my gosh! Sugar Bean learned, she sounded out her first word. I don't think I told you about this.
Really?
She sounded out her first word. It's ham. From Green Eggs and Ham.
Sure.
We don't let... I just wanted to be clear that, like, we don't consume so much ham that it was my child's, like, first word that she read. It's because we read Green Eggs and Ham a lot. But she looked at the front. And she saw, and she was like, that a huh, and that a ah, and that a And I was like, that's right. Yes, it is. Could just like, let's just put all those together. And she was like, ham. And I was like, why? You just read your first word. It was on the night of her 3rd birthday. It was very cool.
That's very cool.
It is. So that's all this wild, insane stuff that these 2 tiny humans that I take care of are doing. So it's wild and fun and cool. So what, Matt, is our second star of the week?
Well, Dave, I don't have kids, so I've been playing a lot of video games.
Nice. I actually been playing a little video game. I mentioned I've been playing Outer Worlds.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned that on the last episode, because we missed, we didn't have an episode last week.
Oh, that's right.
So yeah, after you mentioned that the Xbox Ultimate Game Pass thing was like $1 for 3 months, I also picked it up. Dude.
Yeah, it's a good deal.
Outer Worlds, as you mentioned, on there. Great game.
Yeah, it is. It's really fun.
It's really weird because there are parts of it that, like, if you are unfamiliar with this game, it's made by the same team that did, like, the original Fallout games and Fallout New Vegas. And you can really tell that a lot of, like, time and care went into all the dialogue stuff. And like the story stuff in a way that that didn't happen in Fallout 3 and 4. But you can also tell that it's a much smaller team and that like did not have as much like development budget, because you're like, oh, I should be able to jump on that rock. Like, no, you cannot jump on that rock.
Yeah.
Like this world is a lot smaller than it looks.
as I've been playing it, yeah, like the world, there are a number of things that like the world is just smaller, and I keep sort of wanting the game to be larger, to like really like open up and expand in that, because like Fallout and Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls games are sort of like that, right? They're kind of narrow in the first like couple hours, and then you sort of like hit a plateau and just everything spreads out all at once.
Right, and that does not seem to really happen in Outer Worlds. But
right, I keep waiting for it, and it's not going to happen, which is fine. I think honestly it's probably better for me at my life right now. But I just like, it's a weird little mind trick that keeps happening with me.
You know what is a weird enormous game that is also on the Xbox Game Pass?
Am I going to want to know this?
Well, okay, it's not an enormous game in the same way.
Okay, cool.
It is Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night.
Is that Sherlock Holmes game?
No.
There is a Sherlock Holmes game.
There is a Sherlock Holmes game, but this is not it.
Okay.
I don't know what that game is. So I assume there is a Sherlock Holmes game, but this is not it. If the cadence of this title is familiar to you, it's because it is a Metroidvania game that is made by the same dude who made Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Oh,
and a couple
nice.
of subsequent Castlevania games. I think he did the DS games.
Okay.
And like he is the guy who like made the best Castlevania games. For the games that are generally accepted to be the best ones. Like people are fans of other games in the series, but like what's his name? Something Iga something, because people call the ones that he made Igavanias.
I didn't even know that, but yeah, Castlevania Symphony of the Night rules.
Yeah.
So this is not okay. So you're not Alucard or anything.
No,
because
this is not a it is not a Castlevania game because he does not work for Konami anymore. This is a game that was actually funded by a Kickstarter. It was, or rather, like the original development was funded by a Kickstarter, and then eventually they hooked up with a publisher. Look, they got like $5.5 million out of this Kickstarter to make this game, and so what it is that like the creator of Symphony of the Night got together a bunch of the old crew and then hired some new people to like fill in the gaps, and they just made a game that is so clearly a spiritual successor to Castlevania Symphony of the Night that sometimes I'm playing it and I forget that it's not a Castlevania game. Because like the map is the same, the level designs are the same. Like honestly, there are parts of the game where I'm playing it and I'm thinking like, dude, honestly,
like I definitely played this bit. Like they did.
Yeah, and then there are other bits where like, man, they could have actually gone a little like more creative with this, but they got $5.5 million to just make more Castlevania Symphony of the Night, so they're being very faithful to that. And it's like, dude, if you like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, and really, who doesn't? Like, boy, this is a good, fun game.
Well, so I beat Crackdown 3, and I beat it, and aside from the fact that like the end fight was not at all interesting, it was the exact same way. It was like, this is very definitely the next more of that game, and I liked it, and I still like it. So I have to check that out. That sounds great.
Yeah,
are you like getting equipment?
Oh, dude,
and is it all named after like Lord of the Rings stuff on the slide?
You are getting there was a lot of Lord of the Rings. The Fist of Tulkas was in there.
That was the one I was gonna bring up because it was like a real deep, weird Lord of the Rings cut, especially in like 1996 or whenever that game came out.
7, I think.
Wow, I just threw a number out there. Oh, boy, howdy. That game is 22 years old.
Yeah, dude, 97 was a great game, great year for games. If it was 97. That was a great period for games. But this, like I said, I don't have a lot of like goofs and gags on it. This is just a straight up recommendation. If you like Metroidvanias, and you specifically like Symphony of the Night, check this one out. Because the thing is that like Castlevania Symphony of the Night was a pretty big game for the PS1, but it's been 20 years, and so they can make them bigger, and there's a lot of game in this game.
That does sound appealing.
You capture people's like soul, you capture like monster soul shards and bind them to yourself, and then you get
I love doing stuff
and
like
then you
that.
get powers based on what they were, and the crazy thing is that like every single one of the monsters in the game
Speaking my language here.
has a soul shard associated with it. And some of them are really good and some of them are kind of useless, but like they all have one. So you can like really customize what you're doing. There's a gun. You can just have a pistol and like make your own ammo out of like gemstones that have like thunder damage attached to them. It is a very fun game. Some of the boss fights are a little like weird difficulty wise, but like generally speaking, a really solid game. Highly recommended.
Nice.
Anyway, what is our third star of the week?
So our third star of the week, Matt, is that Beth and I, mostly Beth, we are continuing the great purge of our stuff. And it is, like, it's insane. Like, I don't know. I would swear to you that this is not true, that someone is, like, sneaking new stuff into my house.
Well, I mean,
when I'm not
your
looking.
kids did just have a birthday. They got a lot of stuff.
Okay, they did, but like thankfully most of their stuff is fairly compact except for the very cool crane that you got them.
It's a very good crane.
It is. It's a very, very good crane. We have thrown away since the beginning of summer, Matt. This is not a joke. I think we actually started before summer. We have thrown away given away, you know,
Donated,
like
whatever,
like,
yeah.
Right. I would say 35, maybe as many as 40 garbage bags full of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff.
It's an insane amount of stuff. And there's still stuff is the thing. There's still stuff. And it's just like, I think, again, like you just have a house, right? And then you look at something, you're like, oh, maybe I'll have this. And then it just gets put in a closet somewhere, and then you just have it. And I just don't.
So
it's so good. First of all, it feels amazing. It feels so good.
So here's the question, Dave.
Yo.
You've been... The Great Purge has now been going on for like a year now, right?
Yeah.
And you have a number of people in your home, and all of those people are either like directly bringing things in, or, you know, they are the reason that things are being brought to your home, right?
Yeah, in theory.
So, at what point do you mentally make the shift from calling it the Great Purge as though it is a thing you are doing now to just recognizing the fact that constantly trying to get rid of stuff is just your new status quo?
Okay, here's the thing. I feel like there has to be, like, at some point, there will be a baseline. Like, we have to plateau at some point, right? Like, eventually we will run out of stuff.
I mean, you've been saying that.
Yeah, well, Matt, I'm holding out hope. Because otherwise, like, you know. So I feel like once the plateau is over, then it will just be like, you know, we're sort of balancing. I feel like you personally are in a pretty sweet spot. We've got the right amount of stuff. Not too much, not too little. You've got stuff for the things that you want. Anyways, I'm consistently blown away by how much stuff we're still getting rid of. Now, to be fair, a lot of this is like baby clothes.
Sure.
You know, it's like you have it, and then you have to sort through it all because it's like, well, that's too small or whatever. And so we're getting rid of a lot of stuff in that vein. But there's still a ton of stuff, man. But I think Kondo-sama would be proud. I'm feeling pretty good about it. That's just, listen, Matt, this is just me getting into gear. This is just, is that getting into gear? Shifting into lower gear if you're getting rid of more I don't know.
I mean, hey man, that's all the gears are valid.
All the gears are very good and valid. Anyways,
That's the
Matt,
thing. That's the thing about getting into gears. There's a lot of gears. Like even
useful.
reverses a gear. They're all good gears. Just
that's
pick one purposefully and get into it.
Matt, that was surprisingly deep. I feel like we should have come up with that earlier in the year.
Well, sometimes these things take a while to.
You got to percolate.
Yeah.
So what's our first story of the week, man?
We got to start thinking about what our 2020 motto is going to be.
Well, it's a little bit funky because we're not anywhere close to being done with Carranger.
I mean, can our 2020 motto just be "Please register to vote"?
Yeah, that's a real good one. That's a very, very good one.
We'll
Just please
figure it
register
out.
to vote.
We got
Anyway.
another month.
What? Oh boy. What is our fourth star of the week?
Fourth star of the week, Dave, is this is also sort of video game related, but it's also it's mostly podcast recommendation related. Is I like. I don't listen to a lot of video game podcasts. Like, I like video games, but I'm not, like, video game podcasts is not, like, a huge part of my podcast listening diet, if you will.
Yeah, let's see.
But my favorite video game podcast is a show that has been, like, off and on in production and mostly in hiatus for the last few years. They've just come back and done, like, a Game of the Year episode, like a 3-hour-long Game of the Year episode once a year. And not really put out episodes other than that. And that is a show that used to be associated with Polygon, and it's called The Besties. Have you ever listened to this show, Dave, or have I ever recommended it to you?
I have not.
Okay.
You may have mentioned it to me, but not on the show.
So The Besties is Justin and Griffin McElroy, because the show started when they were still associated with Polygon.
Did he still do Best Idea Ever? Or Best Game Idea?
No, he hasn't done that in a while.
Did they ever take any of your John Cena suggestions?
They did not, sadly. I don't even remember what they were, but they were all very good.
That's a crime.
But the Besties, it actually predated Polygon. Like, in the 5th or 6th episode of The Besties, they talk about starting Polygon. So, like, that is sort of the vintage of this show. So it's the 2 of the 3 McElroy brothers, and then 2 guys from Polygon, Russ Frushtick and Chris Plant. And the hook of the show is that it is a best of the year video game podcast, but it goes all year. So, like, every week they talk about the new games that had come out that week, decide what was the best game of the week, and then decide if that takes the place of the current best game of the year.
Oh.
Right.
That's a very good idea for a podcast.
It is. And, like, it's just a really fun show, but I never really listened to it back when it was in its heyday. So I never really listened to it when it was a weekly show, but it is now coming back as a weekly show again for the first time in a good while. And I'm really excited about it coming back. It's going to be only on Spotify, but, like, not the version of Spotify that you have to pay for.
Okay.
I think that, like, Spotify is paying them to do it, so that is why it is getting done. So I'm not mad about the fact that I have to, like, listen to it on a different free app. But, so I got excited about the fact that it's coming back, and I thought, I'm going to go back and listen to the back catalog of this show, because I really like it, and there's a ton of it that I've never heard. But what's really interesting about it is that it goes back to, like, 2012. So I'm listening to all of these, like, really interesting discussions and debates about what the game of the week was in, like, some week in 2012, trying to remember, like, oh, right, that's when Mass Effect 3 came out.
Oh man, I forgot about the Mass Effect series.
Yeah,
that was mostly a very good series, dude. Have you been listening to? You probably have the new season of The Adventure Zone.
I have, yeah.
The premise if for some reason you're not listening to The Adventure Zone, you should be. It is hosted by the internet's other funny brothers, the McElroy brothers, who are so good it makes me furious. The premise of this show, it's a fantasy world, and they're playing D&D, and the heroes and villains are effectively professional wrestlers.
Yeah, basically.
And, like, you're employed, a villain and a hero are employed by a city to, like, stage spectacular battles for, like, the entertainment of the populace. And that's so brilliant. I'm just mad. Like, I'm angry about it because it's so good, and, like, I would play that game also.
You know what's weird is that they are making the Adventure Zone, the first series of the Adventure Zone, the Balance Arc, they are making a game so that you can play in that world, which on one hand is interesting. Like, they are teaming up with, like, a game studio to make the Adventure Zone game. But the weird thing is, like, in that game, they played D&D. That's already a game you can already play.
Just play D&D.
I mean, I think that it will be, like, focused on the sort of the world that they created and using different rules. But like there was a moment when I first read that I was like, oh, that's cool. Wait, hang on a second. What's actually happening here? Are you just trying to sell me D&D again? Because I've got those books.
I do, although Eberron just came out. Very exciting.
Do love me some Eberron. Anyway, Dave, so that's the 4th star of the week. Listen to the besties. It's very fun. And also, if you want to go back and listen to the old episodes, it's a nice walk down video game memory lane. Would you like to hear our 5th star?
I sure would.
Dave, I used to be a member of the local YMCA.
Yes. Weirdly expensive, I find the YMCA to be.
Weirdly expensive, but it's the only place around here that has a pool.
Yeah.
And swimming is the only exercise I've ever liked or been good at. So like, if I want to have access to a pool, the YMCA is basically my only option. And so I had joined the YMCA, and then I found myself not going to the pool as often as I should have. And then my debit card expired, and that was the card on file for my account. And so they terminated my account because I hadn't been paying because my debit card was expired. And I thought, you know what, that's fine. I wasn't really going anyway. But recently I have been feeling a little sluggish. And I'm like, I really need to, I need to get back into doing some sort of exercise. And so I called the YMCA and I said, listen, I know I didn't pay you. Like, I stopped paying you in June. Like, what's it going to take for me to get back into the YMCA? And they said, well, we've actually got a good deal going right now. So basically, you'll just have to, like, pay going forward and, like, pay back the last month that you should have paid before. But you won't have to, like, pay to sign back up again. Because normally there's, like a pretty hefty, account creation fee. And that's being waived right now. And like the monthly fee is actually a little discounted as well. And I said, that's great. They said, here's the thing. To do it, because joining and interacting with any gym is weirdly complicated, you have to come into the YMCA. We can't do it over the phone.
Oh my God,
I know.
Why is this? Why is this like a universal thing with gyms?
Well,
even the DMV takes debit cards now.
Well, I mean, they took my debit card. I think the issue was that, like, they needed me to sign something. Anyway, so I was like, that's not a huge deal. I know you guys are open on the weekends, so I can come in on, like, Saturday. And, like, Saturday after Thanksgiving, that's, like, just when the deal is starting. I can come in then, and then everything will be cool. I think I actually it was the week before, but they were starting the deal earlier, so they told me over the phone. So I show up on Saturday at like 4:30 p.m. and they're like, great, we would love to sign you up for the YMCA. So I filled out all the paperwork and I was talking to them and I'm handing them my debit card and they're working on their computer. And they say, oh crap, actually, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but our central business office is closed right now. So we can't process your application. And also, because dealing with gyms is always terrible, always, you can't just leave this stuff here and let us process it on Monday. You have to come back next week.
Awesome.
So I say,
this is the most insane business model. Like, I don't understand how the gyms are still in busince with this.
Well,
like,
Dave,
nobody else would run something like this.
The reason that it works is because it's equally difficult to cancel. So once they get you, they've got you, at least until your debit card expires. So I'm like, okay, I'll come back next week. All throughout the week, I completely forget. The next Saturday rolls around, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm free now. It's like 1:30 p.m. Like, I can swing in now while it's still early before their business office closes, and I can sign up then. So I roll in, they say, hi, happy to have you, welcome back to the YMCA. I start filling out the paperwork, and they say, ooh, bad news though, business office is closed. So I'm like, okay, I'm here fairly early right now. When does your business office close? Apparently, on Saturdays, the answer is noon.
What?
So another week goes by. I finally go back this past Saturday at like 11:30, and I'm filling out the paperwork and looking at the people who are tap-tap-tapping on their computers. I'm like, you have got to hurry this up because I am not going to deal with this another week. Like, please have this processed before the end of this hour. And they did. So it was just a lot, Dave. It was just a lot. And I feel like I'm kind of glad that it was that much of a pain in the neck Because now, after having gone through all of that headache, if I don't go to the gym and, like, swim, then I have not only wasted the money, I have wasted, like, 3 Saturday errands.
I think this is actually why gyms, like, this is why they're so expensive. Like, it's like hazing. You're self-hazing yourself to go to the gym. But, I mean, if it's effective, rock it.
Yeah, so I went to the pool yesterday, and now I feel terrible. I mean, good. Like, good terrible. Like, it's all sore, but, like, it should be because it's exercise. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Dave, that is it for the 5 stars. We are going to take a break. We are going to watch episode 36 of Gekisou Sentai Carranger. Once again, it was called The Suspicious Exhaust Purging Operation. It was written by Yoshio Urasawa. Original air date was November the 1st, 1996. And we will be right back. Okay, welcome back.
This episode is incredible.
Very good. Extremely good. Very stupid. But in a way...
It's a real dumb episode, but I did love it.
Well, okay. We will get to that. Okay, so we start off, and Dapu is in the headquarters, and he is doing computers.
Well,
no, he's not there yet.
Real
Sorry.
Quickly. Yeah, sorry. There's a brief recap, and we find out a piece of very interesting information. So they recap that, like, Signalman is here because he's mad that his kid could he inhale this gas, and now he's a bad guy and all this stuff. We find out the full extent of what this evil gas has done. Here's what it did. There's evil gas. It's on Planet Police. Here's what the gas did. It gave the kids a sore throat and canceled sports day.
I mean, Dave, that sports day was very important to Signalman.
That's it. For this, Signalman is willing to change sides to the Bozoke and kill the Carrangers. Now, there is some additional influence going on here, but that's as bad as it got. Sore throat, canceled sports day, murder the Carrangers.
So Dapu he has like this satellite dish set up outside. He's got a computer plugged into the satellite dish. And I think he's plugged their like car navy, like GPS thing into the satellite to like boost its detection powers. And he's saying like, listen, I know that their cars and their robots are all powered by car magic. And then he mentions that they're also powered by VRV energy.
Was it energy or technology?
I thought he said energy, but like
either way, he's like, these are exhaust-free cars,
right, emissions-free,
totally fine.
So he's trying to figure out what's going on. He's got some computers pointed at Planet Police, which is, if I can remind you, is a trinary planet system that look like, when you look at them in the right angle, like a red, blue, and yellow one, look like a traffic light. It's extremely good. And so he figures it out because he's examining this exhaust because he knows it's got to be something weird. He's like, oh my gosh, I've got it. He runs in, he tells the Carrangers, like, Carrangers, listen, I have figured this out. The gas is brainwashing gas. So Signalman has breathed in this gas, and he has been brainwashed to turn to the side of evil.
This is the problem.
Right. And they're like, well, what about the kids? And he's like, aha, see? They've also breathed in the gas,
oh my gosh,
and they have all been brainwashed to think that they have sore throats. So they don't even have sore throats.
I love the logic that it cannot just be a gas that both brainwashes, as long as you're inventing brainwashing gas, that it cannot be both a brainwashing gas and a sore throat gas. It is only this is like a weird workaround. Like, well, we only have brainwashing gas, but we're trying to get to sore throat. Just make them think they have a sore throat.
You know, I mean, it gets you there. It gets you to the same place, practically speaking.
So what they're trying to figure out is like, okay, well, who did this?
Like, well, could it have been the Bozoke?
It couldn't have been the Bozoke.
Yeah, immediately they're like, no, it could not have been the Bozoke. They're way too dumb for this.
Yeah, this is entirely too smart for them.
The other thing they're trying to figure out is, now that we know what's wrong, how do we cure Signalman?
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not, like, we can't just convince him to stop fighting us. That is no longer on the table. We need to figure out how to unbrainwash him, and then he'll just be on our side again.
Yeah, so we jump from there up to the BB Saloon, and we see Signalman and Zanet, and they are flirting real hard. Signalman's is like, Miss Zanet, we should be together. I'll divorce my wife. Like, this is great. Then there's a weird thing they have, like, President Dynamo comes over.
Right.
And he seems to be encouraging this? I didn't quite catch it. It was very weird.
So, yeah, it's weird. In my notes, originally I wrote, President Dynamo is not happy about this. And then I had to cross that out, because President Dynamo is happy about this. But what I think is actually happening is that he knows that Zanet is, like, charming Signalman into being on their side.
Okay, so he's trying to honeypot Signalman.
Right.
With okay, yes, this all makes sense. So, Zelmoda and Inventor Grotch are there. They're like, all right, what's the plan? And Inventor Grotch, or President Dynamo, says, here's what we're going to do. No, it is Grotch. He says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to send, because it can't be Signalman to fight again. Like, who's going to go fight?
Right.
And it is BB Koya, the Bozo's best gardener.
Now, Signalman
Which-
and I are very skeptical about this.
Yeah, it seems weird. It does seem to me that a reckless, like, biker gang from... It's weird to me that they have a gardener. I mean, I guess they had a bug collector, too, so whatever. But, like... I feel like they veered real hard away from the theme of being, like, a biker gang.
I mean, the Bozok are just a very, welcoming group. If you're a space weirdo who doesn't like rules, it doesn't matter what your hobbies are.
You're down. He's an outlaw gardener.
So Signalman is like, how is this even going to work? You are a gardener. They are superheroes. And we see this fantasy sequence of BB Koya. He's like, no, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to get him to come attack me. And then I'm going to throw these... And we're seeing, like, this whole scene play out. I'm going to throw these seeds at him. And then I'm going to water the seeds. And the seeds will, like, cause flowers and vines to sprout all over the Carrangers. And I'm thinking, okay, evil flowers. Gonna, I don't know, like, wrap them up or something.
Now they're trapped.
No,
Right.
That's not it at all. The flowers are just very attractive to space bees.
Oh my, this is I think the best plan. This is my new top favorite plan that the Bozok have come up with. Then everyone's just like, yep, sounds
Yeah,
good.
sure. I mean,
Awesome.
if you can get a hold of some space bees, then let's do this thing.
So we go.
Oh, by the way,
there
Signalman is visibly drunk in this scene. Like, he tries to, get up from the bar to say, like, yes, this is a good idea. And he's, like, stumbling around and slurring his words because he has been hanging out in the BB Saloon for a while.
So we go back from there to Dapu, and he's researching. And he's now he's researching, like, how can we save Signalman?
Right.
And all of a sudden,
He's just
light
doing
bulb.
computers. You're seeing numbers go across the screen. He's tip-tip-tacking on the keyboard.
I will never get tired of, like, Super Sentai hacking, which is just a video of, it's just a cartoon of numbers.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he's like, wait, I've got it. I know how to purge the gas. And I'm thinking to myself, it's gotta be a fart. Like, he's gonna figure out something to make Signalman just do a real big fart, and that's how he's gonna get out of it. It's not a fart. It is, in fact, a burp.
Right.
He runs out to everybody. He's like, guys have got it. And they say, like, what's the plan? And he holds out a soda, and he's like, we will get Signalman to drink this soda, and then he will burp, and then when he burps, all the gas will come out. And all the Rangers are like, that's a terrible plan.
Like, that can't possibly be the solution. It's just stupid. It's too stupid to be the right answer.
It's too stupid and simple. And then Dap was like, hey, I've got a new plan. Why don't you all shut up and follow my awesome plan about this soda? And then the Ranger was all like, oh yeah, I guess we will. And this is just your weird weekly reminder that all the Rangers take orders from, like, a 9-year-old.
Again,
Like a
we
weird
don't know if
9-year-old
they know
magic
how
boy
old
from
Dapu
space.
is. But what I really like about this scene is that what Dabu says to them is, it doesn't matter how stupid it is if it works. And I was like, you know what? That is like the thesis of this episode and this entire show. Like all of Carranger can be boiled down to that sentence. Like, it doesn't matter if it's stupid so long as it works. I'm like, yeah, that's true. It doesn't matter that this show is stupid because it really works.
Because it does really work. Listen, man, if it's stupid and it works, it ain't stupid, as the old saw goes. So they get a Bozoke alert, and they're like, all right, they suit up, and they henshin, and they roll out. And they show up to where BB Koya is, and at first, this is playing out exactly how BB Koya had imagined.
It's literally just the footage from his like fantasy of how this was going to go earlier, until BB Koya throws the seeds at them, and then the Carrangers just dodge. It's like, imagine, like, I've never been in a fight. I don't know how to fight. But I've seen a lot of movies where people fight, and so I have this thought in my head that I know is wrong, but I'm like, oh yeah, I know how a fight is supposed to go. If I got in a fight, this is what I would do, and I would win and look really cool. But if I ever got in a fight, I would just get punched in the nose and fall over, and that is what's happening to him right now.
That's a very excellent analogy. Yeah, BB Koya has watched a lot of movies about how this would go down. So they just get out of the way. Now, it seems like that's fine, but the problem is that the seeds are now on Pegasus Dragon Thunder Rider, the cars they have.
We should have at some point learned the names of these two cars.
I bet you I won't. So then they sprout, like the seeds sprout, and there's flowers all over the cars, and the Rangers at first are like, this is weird, but seems fine. Like, I'm not...
Right, like it's not killing us right now, so I'm not happy about it, but let's just see how this goes. And so the space bees do show up. And when we say space bees, Dave, do you want to describe, because they're not just like, they could have just been little cartoon bees, or like little like toy bees that were attached to like fishing line and like whipped around. That's not what we have.
No, these are like Pokemon bees. These are like not bee drills, but like,
yeah, or they're like a bee enemy from like a Mega Man game.
Yeah, that's somewhere sort of in between that. And but there's a bunch of them. And at first I'm like, well, this also doesn't seem to be a problem, because you can't bee sting a car. Apparently I'm wrong about that. Because you definitely can. Because the Rangers are like, oh no, these space bees are going to sting our car. And then they're going to be covered in space bee stings. And we see sort of like a terrifying image where they're just covered in like big bumpy...
Like welts?
Welts? It's very weird.
But I mean, listen, these cars are alive. They look like cars, but maybe they can be stung by bees.
I mean, Transformers in that sense are also alive, but like...
Dave,
I don't know that they're...
It doesn't matter how stupid it is, so long as it works.
So, the Rangers are like, okay, well, we gotta save our cars.
So, like, they start pulling the flowers and the vines off of the cars, and they're getting harassed by the bees, but the bees aren't attacking them, so it's annoying, but they're doing okay. They manage to get the bees away from the car. The bees start coming for them. They just, like, pull out... Oh, the bees have, like, little, like, laser stings as well, which is fun. They try to shoot the bees with their laser pistols, their auto blasters, but, like, they're big bees, but they're still, like, little bee things. Like, it's hard to hit a flying, moving target like that. Until they plug their car navies into their pistols and then just, like, homing laser them, and they blow up immediately. Like, this fight is super not going the way that BB Koya thought it was going to.
Yeah, so they, just real quickly, then they get the flowers off the cars, and then BB Koya just orders the bees to attack. Which they do, which makes me feel like the seed thing was like a really unnecessary step.
Well, I mean, maybe it's unnecessary to you, Dave, but you don't have as deep of a passion for gardening as BB Koya does.
I mean, I guess maybe he needed the flowers to get the bees there, and then once they were there, They're just like very amenable bees. Amenable, but also evil bees. So anyways, this is starting to gear up, and then Signalman arrives.
Yeah.
And Red Race is just like, oh, everybody stop. We know the plan. And he just like busts over. Signalman's about to hit him. He's like, wait, stop. Would you like this soda?
And Signalman stops like in his tracks and looks at him like, wait, do I want this soda? What's happening right now?
Like it's incredible because it almost works. Like he's so nonplussed. And Kyosuke just be like, let's stop. Would you like this refreshing beverage, former friend? Now it does not work. It does not work. Signalman sort of like after a moment sort of like reconnoiters and then just punches Kyosuke in the face.
Right.
And then he summons Signalman.
Right. Like he goes 0 to 60 pretty quick, which makes sense because this is a car show. He summons Signalman. Signalman is zapping at them. So they call out the VRV Robos. And you would think that at this point they would turn into VRV Robo. Oh, I'm sorry. They called out the VRV machines. You would think that they would combine into VRV Robo. But Kyosuke says, actually, hang on a second. All of our vehicles can transform into like individual humanoid fighters. Let's do that instead. Like we won't be able to do our big attack, but we don't want to kill Signalman. What we want to do is tire him out. Because if we exhaust him by annoying him with 5 robots, he's going to get so tired and he's going to be so thirsty. And then we can get him with the soda.
And, yeah, well, if it sounds dumb, but it works. Because that's definitely what they do.
The soundtrack gets a little Benny Hill, like, as they're doing this. Like, it's like the show knows that it's being goofy.
For this part. And, yeah, so they just sort of blanket beat Signalman until he's too tired to do anything. And he's like, wait, time out. Just time. I'm calling time. I'm going to rest on this building. And there's just a great shot. he's like the torso of Signalman is just sort of like leaning head down on this high-rise building. And as he's there, Kyosuke busts out of the roof access dressed as like a baseball park vendor.
Yeah, with like the tray strapped to his chest.
Yeah. And he's like, hey there, friend, you look thirsty. Would you enjoy a refreshing soda? And Signalman's like, actually, yeah, I would. That sounds great.
I'm so thirsty.
So he does, and he drinks this refreshing soda. I am very curious as to what flavor this soda is, because my default soda is that sort of like, artificial caramel color soda. And that doesn't seem to be the case. He's like, this is a soda, and then it's just like a clear beverage, which was weird to me.
Maybe it's the Uncola, Dave.
Could be. Maybe it's Crystal Pepsi. It's definitely not Crystal Pepsi.
It's definitely not. Would the time period have been right? When was Crystal Pepsi?
96? Maybe. Like it's right around there. Maybe it's a Snapple Elements Rain, the best flavor.
I did like the Rain, but the elements weren't carbonated.
Oh, good point. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked. So anyways, he downs this soda. And man, sorry, by the way, if you ever want to go on like a weird deep nostalgia dive, there's like a lot of the internet that is dedicated to people trying to recreate bevies from the 90s, like kids' beverages from the 90s, and it's real good. So anyways,
I missed the Snapple Elements. I know that we should be talking about this television show.
They brought them back. Yeah, they brought them back, and they're garbage now. They're in like a metal can. I think you can still get them in a metal can.
Those metal cans, that was like the last gasp before they were discontinued. The Elements have not existed in 15 years, probably.
Yeah, well, the Rain was, it was real good. Like, it tasted more like water than water did. It tasted like some sort of like platonic ideal of water in my mind. It might not be as good as I'm remembering.
Meteor was really good. I think that was the dragon fruit one.
Yeah, that was good. So anyways, they get Signalman to drink through his like plastic molded mouth. They get him to drink this soda, and he burps, and I gotta hand it to Dapu. He was right. It totally works. Like he changes color, and even Psyrender changes colors too. He's back to normal. And then he's like, wait, but like my family. And I think it's Yuko says like, no worries, Signalman. We have sent Soda to Planet Police too. Cause apparently they don't have Pop on Planet Police.
I don't know, man. Maybe they're more of a high C planet. And we see this cutaway of Sigtaro, like in his sickbed, being given the restorative power of cola or uncola, I guess. And he burps and he's like, "Hey, my throat doesn't feel bad anymore." So all of that planet is being healed by soda. So he's like, "Okay, well my family's okay now, and guys, I'm really sorry. I feel really bad about this whole thing."
Yeah, like genuinely, can't tell you how bad I feel about all this. And they're like, "Dude, like you're all right.
It's fine. This is
cool.
a superhero show. Someone was bound to be mind controlled eventually." And then like we cut down to the ground, and BB Koya is just still sitting there watching them. Because he just like sat down and started watching them when Signalman showed up. And so Moda shows up. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, you have to fight them now. like Signalman's not going to do it for you. So here, eat this emo yokon. Deal with this problem."
This to me was like really weird and harsh. Because at this point, I feel like Zelmoda knows that there's just no way that BB Koya can win this fight. Like, he is literally just sending BB Koya to die.
Now,
like, this would be an ideal moment for him to be like, "All right, dude, like, let's retreat.
Like, we can try again next
didn't
week."
Work. Like, yeah, like, back to Barbarian. And instead he's like, "No, dude, eat the Emu Yukon. Like, go to your death. Like, I witness you."
He does also give a piece of emo yokon to the last remaining Space Bee. So we get the giant BB Koya, and we also get a giant Space Bee, which I think is really interesting because you never see the giant robots fighting like a weird pestering flying thing. Like, it doesn't last long, but I thought it was interesting.
It was. Well, okay, so first it seems pretty one-sided, then the bee kind of gets into full play, and that's a good shot. Then BB Koya gets a little too focused on one opponent. He gets too, because he wraps Psyrender up in like some cool vines and is like electrocuting him, but then VRV Robo just like sneaks up behind and sucker punches him, and then that's pretty much it.
I mean, if you were so distracted that you can let something the size of VRV Robo sneak up behind you, like,
well, yeah, he's also very large at the moment, and then he does. Well, he turns around and he sees VRV Robo, and VRV Robo has like summoned his Vulcan cannons, and BB Koya's plan to deal with this is just like a full charge, like a frontal charge, which is possibly the least effective tactic.
I mean, listen,
when facing twin Gatling cannons.
I'm not going to say it was a good idea, but to be fair, no one's tried it before, and everyone else died, so... who knows, man? There's been a bunch of dumb, stupid plans in this episode. Some of them have worked. This one could have. It very clearly didn't, but it might have.
Man, every time I see VRV Robo bust that move out, all I can think about is Gundam Heavy Arms and how awesome it is.
Well, Gundam Heavy Arms is awesome.
Yeah, it's very, very good. I remember at the time thinking Death Scythe was the best, but as I've gotten older, I'm like, Death Scythe Gundam is a bit edgelordy. Like, Gundam Heavy Arms is the clear winner here. So we go from there to Ichitaru, and Ichitaru's at Koban base, and he is looking at his graffiti about how he hates Signalman, and he's just sort of, he's feeling some kind of way about it. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not positive. And then Signalman shows up. And Ichitaru sees it. Now remember, the last time Ichitaru saw Signalman, Signalman was a villain and was trying to hurt, or he was kind of using him as bait to get the Carrangers. And so Ichitaru doesn't run, but he does sort of like take a big couple of steps back and kind of ducks behind a wall. And Signalman I think must not remember. Yeah, he doesn't remember because he talks to the Rangers and he's like, what am I doing here? So he doesn't remember, but he sees Ichitaru and he's like, hey, bud, like, great to see you. Like, Koban Base is a mess. Like, let's get this cleaned up.
And he goes into Koban Base and he gets, like, a cartoonishly rickety broom and mop. And there's just, like, tons of dust, like, falling out of the base onto his head. And it's very clearly like being done in a comic. Like, he is not purposely doing it comically, but the show is presenting it comically on purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And after like a few seconds of watching this, Ichitaru, he's like, "Oh, right, my bud. Okay, like let's do this thing." And he goes over and he like picks up a scrub brush and he starts scrubbing off. Like he's cleaning generally, but he is specifically like scrubbing off his graffiti about how much he hates Signalman. And I don't think that Signalman ever saw the graffiti, now that I'm thinking about it. I think that Ichitaru got to it in time.
Yeah, like there's a spot where he maybe could have seen it and politely ignored it, but...
And like the Carrangers all, well, I mean, in their guise as an ordinary citizen, they all roll up and they're like, "Oh man, look at these two! It's so good to see them together like this again." I mean, Signalman does not then go back to his home planet to check on his son who's just gotten out of the hospital, but it is, he's hanging out with Ichitaru again, and that's cool too.
So we go from there, and we've got just a little bit left. We see Dapu is at the base, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is like an evil force I've never seen before. What's going on?" And then we go to the BB Saloon, and they're like, "We'll get you next time, Gadget." And then we go to Signalman, and he's like, "Everything is cool." And then we get our big gold space boy again, and we still have basically no idea what's going on with him, aside from the fact that he says, "Next time, like, I'll take over the Earth with my own power."
Right, like, turning Signalman turned out to not to work, so next time I'm going to do it all on my own, and wahahaha. I will get him next time, Gadget. I mean, he doesn't say that. That's a different show. That's from Inspector Gadget, a cartoon show about a cyborg detective and his niece. And their dog.
It's a very good show. There were 2 feature-length films, which were probably not very good, but I haven't actually seen them.
Voiced by Don Adams, a.k.a. Maxwell Smart from Get Smart.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good old Don Adams. Anyways.
And Dr. Claw, of course, was voiced by me in high school when I did that impression a lot.
You do a very good Dr. Claw impersonation, though.
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Yeah, now, so listen, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the show, but if you haven't, that's spot on. Like, that's really
I
how
can't
it
remember if
sounds.
we've talked about this on the show before. I used to, no, I never did it when I was, like, actually working the drive-thru at Starbucks, but I did used to have this, like, long, extended bit about Dr. Claw going through the Starbucks drive-thru and ordering and being, like, very indecisive, but I did it all in the Dr. Claw voice. It was very fun, but by the end of it, my throat was just raw.
Because you can only talk like this for so long before it really starts to grate on your throat and the ears of the people around you.
It does sound cool, but it also, like, I can hear my throat hurts while you do it.
Anyway, that's it for this episode. But it's not, of course, it for our episode, Dave, because we need to determine where BB Koya lands in the Creature Royale.
I don't have, like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but he's got a very similar energy in my mind to ZZ Curie, the kimchi lover.
Yeah, I get that, because he's another one of those bozok who seem a lot more interested in whatever their gimmick is than the actual act of villainy.
Yeah, I love his plan.
Love his bees.
I love his giant space bees, and I love his plan, and I love that he, like, had a whole movie fight in his head that he, like, super won, and then got in a real fight and very definitely lost.
Really identify with that.
So I think I would put him, like, I'd put him above ZZ Curie. If we had seen... Ooh, Ziziguri did have like an amazing fight on top of like an exploding belt that they had strapped to RV Robo.
Oh, that is true.
Oh,
He
yeah.
piloted,
Okay, I think.
Yeah, he piloted RV Robo for a bit.
Okay, I think maybe actually. I was gonna say that I liked this dude more. I think I maybe actually. But he's got space bees.
He does have space bees. I like him more than the what's the guy's name? FF.
Oh, FF Manchori, the scandal photographer. Yeah, like it's really. Is he good? I feel like it's. Is he going to go right above or right below Ziziguri?
I would put him right below, personally.
Okay, so he's going to go right below Ziziguri. And there he is, the new spot number 144, Bibi Koya, the gardener.
Yes, and that finally is going to do it for another episode of License to Carranger. Before we finish up here, I'd like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. You want to get any updates on future episodes or check out what we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. Dave, if people want to get in touch with you to get a hold of the playtest for Go Sentai Heroes, your tabletop Super Sentai role-playing game that you're developing, how would they do that?
If you just email me at gosentaiheroes@gmail.com, I will get the rules out to you. I'm crazy busy right now. I'm in a little bit of a stall, but I'm very excited about getting back to working on it in earnest in a little bit.
Right on. Well, if you like the show, folks, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Rate, review, subscribe on there. That would be swell of you. The Super Sentai Brothers are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio. To listen to any of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows, you can find them all at retrogradeorbitradio.com. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth.